Hey guys, good evening. Welcome to the IRONMAN 70.3 Oregon course info, tips and tricks, and Q&A. What I want to do this evening is share some of my experience as a coach and an athlete to increase your confidence and reduce your stress headed into race day so that you can maximize your results and have the most enjoyable experience possible. This is a great race. It's one of those that sells out really fast because everyone wants to get into it. So congratulations to everyone that was able to get in, and will have the opportunity to race here in just a few days. Want to give a special shout out to everyone at Team Zoot. This is going to be one of their big team races for the year, so expect a lot of those really cool, brightly colored kits out there, and a lot of Ohana out there on the course. So good luck to everyone from Team Zoot, as well as all the other awesome teams and clubs that are going to be participating in Oregon next week. My name is John Mayfield. I am a full-time triathlon coach. I have the privilege of working with triathletes as my career. I am passionate about what I do. I love working with athletes. I work exclusively with athletes racing long course, so 70.3 and Ironman distance athletes. I am certified by USA Triathlon at level 2 and Ironman U. And again, I've worked with hundreds of athletes ranging from first timers to professionals and everyone in between. So, again, what I want to do is just share some of my experience both working with athletes and racing myself this evening, so that you can maximize the results and really enjoy yourself in Oregon. So, going to be giving an overview of the course as well as some tips along the way. So, first set of tips are some pre-race tips. It is going to be critical to stay hydrated. This is something you're going to hear me say throughout the evening here tonight. This is something that I've really learned in the last couple of years is a very critical component. And yeah, obviously, we all know hydration is important, but this is something that I've really seen both with my athletes and in my own racing, how critical it is, and how oftentimes many athletes will underhydrate during the race and also before the race. So that's what we want to do here, is ensure that we are staying hydrated prior to the race. So many people are going to be traveling in. There's something about travel that's naturally dehydrating. So recommendation is those last couple days, as race day approaches, to always have a water bottle with you, preferably with some electrolytes. That is another major component to this equation, is ensuring that you are arriving at the start line with a topped off tank so far as hydration goes, but as well as those electrolytes, and then continuing to replace both the hydration and the electrolytes throughout the race. So weather is a big component of this, and Oregon is known even in July for nice, cool temper weather. But right now, the forecast is showing pretty warm temperatures up in the 80s and 90s so far as the afternoon temperatures go. So obviously we're a little bit out, so that may change. But regardless, you're going to be sweating. So make sure that you are replacing both that hydration and electrolytes. Limit time on your feet. So you're going to be obviously using your legs a whole lot on a race day. So in those days leading into the race, just be aware of time spent on your feet, and then pair that with appropriate amounts of recovery. So think about time where you're going down to get checked in, get your packet. Check out everything down there at the village. Check out the course. The day before, you'll be dropping off your bike. All those kinds of things. That's a lot of time on your feet. So make sure that you're pairing that with your recovery modalities. It's things like your foam rollers, massage sticks, recovery boots, all those kinds of things go a long way in helping you prep for that. Check out the course. So I always advise knowing what you're in store for on race day. We don't want any surprises while we're out there. So go and check out the river. It's really cool to see. It's a beautiful river. Really really neat. And you can kind of kill two birds with one stone here as you're out there checking out the run course. You can go down, see the swim start, see that walk that you have to make from transition over to the swim start. How long is it? That sort of thing. Just kind of getting a feel for that. More on that to come. But go and see. Again, that trek you have to make in the morning down to the swim start. What does it look like? What are you going to experience when you get down there? What does it look like getting into the river? Same thing with your swim exit. What is your process here? What are those steps that you're going to have to take to go from the river over to transition? And then recommend driving the bike course. So go out and again see exactly what you're in store for. We're going to be talking about several things on the course, but a lot of it is subjective. So go out there and see exactly what I'm referring to, and check out things like road conditions, technical turns, climbs, descents, all those kinds of things. So you know exactly what you're going to be encountering on race day. Generally, Ironman will have the aid stations marked with brightly colored duct tape several days prior to the race. So you'll see exactly where those are, and you'll be able to see those in relations to things like uphills, downhills, turns, anything like that. So again, no surprises on race day, and then a great opportunity to go see the run course. You can check that out on your bike, or get in a little bit of a shakeout run while you're there. So run a couple miles, ride a couple miles out there on those trails, and again, just know exactly what it is that you're going to experience on race day, so there are no surprises. And speaking of no surprises, read the athlete guide. Lots of good information in there. Even for those that are experienced and have done numerous Ironman 70.3 races, still a good idea to read over the guide as a refresher, and also to see if there was anything new or specific or any changes specific to race day. All right, race morning. Transition opens at 4:30. So sun rises bright and early this time of year up there in Oregon. So it is an early start both to the day and to the race, which is actually quite nice. Getting things going early, finish up early with those lower temperatures. So as mentioned before, it is approximately a mile and a half walk down there to the swim start. So make sure that you are taking that into consideration when you're setting your alarm the night before, going through your pre-race morning ritual, getting down there, getting parked, having time to set up your transition, and then have that mile and a half walk down there to the swim start with plenty of time for that relatively early start at 6:15. Water temperature is typically in the mid 60s. That's what it's showing right now. So that would be the expectation that water temperatures are going to be somewhere in the mid 60s. Races are wetsuit legal, or Ironman races are wetsuit legal up to and including 76.1 degrees. So, unless there's just some bizarre freak of nature that we really don't want to experience, this will be a wetsuit legal race. So, what does that mean for you as far as maybe a sleeved suit, sleeveless suit? It's a little different for everyone, but in this case, it is almost certainly going to be wetsuit legal. So take that into consideration. As I mentioned, the race starts at 6:15 in the morning. All right, on to this really neat, really fast swim course, swim start. It is a self seated rolling start, so that means you will line up according to your expected swim time. So, as you get down there to the start, keep in mind it's that mile and a half walk. So, we're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 30 minutes of getting down there from transition to the swim start. And then once this time trial starts, it is going two athletes at a time, generally, or that's how it's been in the past. So it is going to be quite time consuming. Once you make it your turn down there to jump in, you'll jump into the river from a small platform, and then you'll be off riding the rapids. So, a couple tips for the swim start: get cued early, which means getting a head start on everything. So, making sure that you are down there parked and in transition early enough to get everything set up so that you can begin that mile and a half walk early enough to get down there early enough to get cued early. So, as you can see from the picture here, it does get congested. So, if you are late getting down there, it's going to be quite difficult for you to work your way up to where it is that you would like to start. So it's going to be stressful. You're going to make some other folks mad. So recommendation here: get ahead of the curve, stay ahead of everything on the day, and get down there, get queued early. And don't queue slower than expected. So we see this a lot, especially with the less confident swimmers. You're going to maybe hang back a little bit. That is not going to be conducive to a great race for you or those around you. So do get queued up in your expected swim time. And then, as I mentioned before, expect a long wait. As you can see here, there are a whole lot of people queued up for this race. Approximately 2,000 folks are going to be racing, entering the water two at a time. That means there's going to be 1,000 people in front of those last two. If it's queued up again, two at a time, 2,000 people, 1,000 people each to go before each of those last two people to enter the water. That's going to take some time. So, especially the further back you are, take that into consideration, especially with your fueling and hydration. It's going to take a considerable amount of time, depending on again where you are in that line. So make sure that you're not standing there for an hour or more with no hydration or no nutrition. That's going to put you behind. As we mentioned, so maybe just carry a water bottle with you. Again, throw an electrolyte tab or something like that in there, and carry that down there with you. Especially if you're going to be queued up towards the back, maybe a gel or something like that, just to keep your nutrition levels primed as you are waiting to start the swim. Speaking of prime your wetsuit. So this is going to be particularly useful for those that are a little nervous about the water temperature or more susceptible to the cooler water temperature. So 65 again is kind of the expected range of the water temperature, mid 60s, call it. That's relatively cold water. Everyone has kind of a different definition, different interpretation, but a lot of people will be quite chilly in 65-degree water. So once you get going, obviously you're going to warm up, all good there. But something you can do to help get things started is prime your wetsuit. And what I mean by this is keep in mind it is a wetsuit, not a dry suit. So the way these suits work is by allowing a small amount of water into the suit and then warming that water with your body heat, and that is actually what keeps you warm. So if you jump in to the river and that suit is dry, it's going to fill with 65-degree water, and then you're going to have to heat that water with your body temperature, which initially that's going to draw some heat out of your body. So your body temperature is actually going to drop initially. You may feel that. That can even induce things like panic attacks. But what we can do with priming is go ahead and get just some room temperature water into that suit. Yes, peeing in your suit works, but only from the waist down. So take just a couple water bottles, get those to room temperature. They don't actually have to be heated or anything like that, and just pour a healthy amount of water down the neck of your suit. Go ahead and get the suit wet on the inside. Your body will then begin to warm that water as you're waiting there in the queue. And then once you jump into the water, you will already have that layer of water in your suit. It'll be warm and you'll be good to go. So recommendation there is just maybe in the last 5 to 10 minutes before the swim start, as you're waiting in this line and you're getting close, go ahead and dump that water down your suit. Give it just a minute for your body to heat it up to body temperature, and again, you'll be good to go. All right, on to the swim course. It is pretty simple, pretty much impossible to get lost, and it is perhaps the fastest on the 70.3 circuit at the moment. It is a point to point, so as mentioned, we're going to walk way up from transition to the swim start. You are going to be swimming downstream. Thank God, because it would be very, very, very difficult to swim this upstream. Typically, very fast current. So obviously, this is going to vary based on conditions, but the last several years of this race, there has been quite a strong current. Great water quality. So as you're swimming, you'll be able to see right through this water, which is quite unique. Oftentimes, these swim venues have more of a murky, muddy water. But this actually has really great water quality, and that is due to the rocky bottom. So that is something to be aware of. Also, you are seeing, as you can see here, it is kind of to the northeast direction, which is going to put it pretty close into that easternly sunrise. So, a couple tips for the swim course is consider that sunrise when choosing your goggles. I would definitely recommend tinted goggles, darker goggles, because it is going to be difficult to see, especially if you're wearing clear goggles. It's going to be difficult to sight, that sort of thing. This is going to be directly into the sun, especially as you're breathing over to your right side. So definitely take that into consideration. Get those tinted goggles to offset some of the effects of the sun. As I mentioned before, it is a rocky bottom, so be careful and avoid touching the bottom. The current is going to be moving you at a pretty swift pace. And just be aware that there are rocks down there. So even if you're not necessarily swimming, even if you're trying to stand for whatever reason, the current may be pushing you along, and you could stub a toe or worse on those rocks along the bottom. So just be aware of that, and then ride the current. The swim times are expected anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes faster than your typical 70.3. So if you are typically, say, a 45-minute 70.3 swimmer, expect your time to be anywhere from 25 to 35 minutes. So it is really, really fast. It is quite common to see a whole lot of times faster than 1 minute per 100. So it's actually, usually it's just those first couple people out of the water are swimming at or below 1 minute per 100, but add the current, and a whole bunch of the field is going to be under a minute. So it actually is a very fast race. And then because of that, prepare for the cross current exit. So kind of as you see here, you'll be swimming downstream as you make it around that kind of island. You will be making about a 90-degree turn to exit, and that current is going to be working against you. So just be aware of that. It is somewhat protected, but you are still going to have to fight the current across there. It's not that long, maybe 100 yards from that turn buoy to the swim exit. But just be aware of that, and obviously there'll be kayaks and all that to catch you and help if you're not making it as quickly as you should. And be sure to enjoy this swim. It really is neat. It's going to be over before you know it. But again, just to have a swim this fast in nice, pretty clear water is a rare treat. So make sure to enjoy it. All right, going to head into transition from there. As mentioned, 2,000 plus people in this race, 2,000 plus bicycles, largely looking somewhat alike. Know your location. So as you are down there in transition the day before dropping off your bike, pay particular attention to location of your rack. So look for things like landmarks. Is there anything identifiable, notable that is going to serve as a kind of a reminder of exactly where you are? The rows are labeled with letters, so know which letter your rack is, and make sure that you're not losing that amount of time by having to locate your rack. Along with that, be efficient. So knowing your rack location and getting straight to your bike or your transition location as quickly as possible is kind of the first step in being efficient. But from there, know exactly what it is that you need to do. Only have those things that you need, and make sure that you've practiced this in advance so you know exactly what you're going to do and you can move through each one of those movements quickly. Don't rush. Bad things happen when we rush. So we want it to be well rehearsed, well practiced, well thought out, so that you can do all those things that you need to do in transition and get out as quickly as possible. Consider a go bottle. This is, I think, one of my favorite tips. It was given to me by my friends at Precision Fuel and Hydration when I was doing a nutritional consult with them. So a go bottle is exactly that. It's a bottle there that I have waiting for me in transition. And as I mentioned, I always recommend having a bottle in those last couple days to stay up on hydration and electrolytes. My go-to in those last couple days is vitamin water. So what I will do is save two of those bottles. And the reason I save those bottles is they have the large mouth on them, which makes it real easy to drink quickly from them. Those are the ones that are probably more like a $half size, as opposed to like a standard water bottle that has more like a dime size mouth on it. So I saved two of those bottles. In my transition one go bottle, I will put about 6 to 8 ounces of water in there. I will do a serving of my nutrition. I will do a serving of electrolytes. And what I will do is just take that down real quick as I am going through each of those transition steps. And what that's going to do is just give me a little bit of boost, a little bit of head start on my hydration, nutrition, and electrolytes. So, again, those are going to be key as we go throughout this race. So, perhaps there was time spent waiting in the queue to get started in the swim. You had the few minutes that you were in the river, a few minutes in transition. So all that time you had no nutrition, no hydration, no electrolyte taking in. So again, that Go bottle is just going to get kind of get you back on track, and then from there resume that well vetted nutrition, hydration, and electrolyte plan that you have headed out onto the bike course. So, really nice, really pretty bike course. Again, in for a treat, really across the swim, bike, and run course out here. So, it is a one loop course out and back, primarily to the north and south. Not a whole lot to it. It is relatively flat with some undulation. So, kind of as you see here from the elevation chart along the bottom, I would say that this is probably a scarier looking elevation chart than what you're actually going to experience out there. So sometimes when we have courses that don't have a whole lot of elevation gain, but have some, they have some rolling hills, some undulation. It makes it look much worse than it is. Now, that being said, there are two climbs that are largely kind of in the same area. You'll hit one on the way out, one on the way back. That you do need to be aware of. So, again, these are the kinds of things that I recommend going and driving the course, seeing exactly what I'm referring to when I say the course is relatively flat with some undulation and has two climbs in it. Again, that's going to mean something different for everyone. There are those that are going to go and see this course and think that actually it's pretty hilly. And these two climbs that I'm going to mention are quite big and challenging. Others will say this course is completely flat, and these are just some little speed bumps that you have to click up a gear to summit. But again, my recommendation is to go see this and understand it exactly in your own context. So, where these two climbs are is kind of almost at the halfway point or a little beyond. Right in this stretch of the river, right where it says that Willamette River is labeled there, just shy of mile 15, and then on the way back, just shy of mile 40. Effectively, as you can see from the elevation chart down there on the bottom, it is a pretty steep climb on the way out, again, around mile 15. They're both around 3.5% grade, and they both last for about a half mile. So, when you go out there, you're about 15 miles from transition. All of a sudden, you see a bit of a climb. That's exactly what it is I'm referring to. You'll ride down. So, because again, net zero elevation course. So what goes up comes back down. You'll go out all the way, complete the U-turn at mile 28, and then again around mile 40. In that same general vicinity, you will have another climb that is also around a half mile, also around 3.5% grade. But then from there, just a couple rollers as you head back. Generally good road quality. So the worst stretch of road is relatively early on, kind of early out of transition as you're getting out of town. But once you kind of get out here, kind of out into the country, out into the farmland, the roads get quite nice. Generally pretty good. So it all adds up to a really enjoyable and fast course. So, a couple tips for the bike course. As mentioned before, be familiar. Know it exactly where the aid stations are, where the turns are, what those climbs are in relation to your skill and ability level, and just be ready for those. Stay ahead of hydration and nutrition. Again, I told you I was going to be mentioning this several times, but it is that important. And again, this is one of the number one flaws I see among athletes in their race execution, even those that are planning and know and are aware of the importance of hydration, nutrition, and electrolytes. What I see oftentimes is athletes will still not take in enough hydration, enough electrolytes. Even if they're nailing their nutrition, oftentimes the hydration component is behind. So make sure that you are staying up on that. Fuel strategically. So when you have the opportunities to do so, again, not a real technical course, not a whole lot of climbs and turns and that sort of things that can throw off your routine. But just make sure that you are taking in your nutrition and hydration when you have the opportunity to do so. For example, if you are due for a drink or a gel or something like that, and you are approaching that mile 15 climb, go ahead and get it in early so that you're not having to do it while you're climbing that particular section and you don't forget about it afterwards. You want to make sure that you're staying up on that. So be sure to fuel strategically. Be careful when crossing the railroad tracks. There are a couple railroad crossings out there. In the past, these railroad tracks have claimed several bottles. So just be aware of those. Be careful. Check your bottles as you go across. If see if they've ridden up at all. And something that's really helpful and really great is just to kind of check those around you as well, because not only is it nice and courteous and really sucks for the person riding next to you or ahead of you. If they lose a bottle, it also becomes a treacherous thing for you. Last thing you want to do is have that person in front of you go over those railroad tracks, have a bottle come loose, and a quarter mile down the road, that thing pop out, and all of a sudden you're having to swerve or bunny hop or hit it. So that's not good. So watch out for one another. Communicate on things like that. And then towards the end of the bike course, begin to prepare for T2 and the run. So think about where is my rack location? What are the things that I'm going to do in T2? What are those efficient steps that I've practiced? What are the things that I really want to make sure I do? Those sorts of things, and then also prepare for the run. So generally, this is spinning out a little bit, especially if you've been mashing some gears at a lower cadence. A good tip here is to match your bike cadence to your run cadence. So if you are running somewhere around the kind of that standard 90/180 steps per minute, go ahead and get your bike cadence to 90. That's going to have that neurological effect on your legs. They're going to get used to spinning out at a rate of 90 cycles per minute. So once you begin to run out of transition, you're naturally going to fall into that 90 steps, 180 steps per minute. So that can be conducive in the start of your run. All right, from there we will head into T2 and a couple tips for transition 2. They look exactly like T1 for good reason because they are exactly the same. Know your location, be efficient, pack minimally, practice in advance, and consider a go bottle. So the only difference here is in my go bottle. I will put more about 12 ounces of water in that T2 bottle, so a little bit more than in T1. And that is because here it actually becomes a really good go bottle. So if I'm feeling great, if my stomach is not giving me any issues at all, I may go ahead and just chug down that full 12 ounces and get it going. If I'm feeling a little bit of any discomfort, anything like that, I may take down a quarter, half the bottle, whatever I'm kind of feeling, and then take the rest with me. And I will nurse that bottle as long as it takes. It may be just the first couple hundred yards. It may be to the first aid station. It may be for the first couple miles, whatever the case may be. But again, the intent here is to just jumpstart again the run with some hydration, nutrition, and electrolytes. All right, heading out onto this really neat run course. This is going to be something special. Really going to enjoy this. It is a two-loop course, all along pass through this park, which a big benefit of this, it is mostly shaded. So you can see here from the map, it is all around this park. It is relatively densely wooded, which should put off a pretty good amount of shade for you out there on the race. So again, expecting temperatures to be relatively warm, upper 80s, lower 90s by afternoon. Obviously, that could change, but this certain amount of shade is definitely going to be a benefit. Like the bike course, it is mostly flat with a little bit of undulation. Certainly, no climbs or anything like that, but there's just enough up and down to kind of keep it interesting. and give you a couple little boost in speed on those little bit of downhills here and there. You're running through a park along a river, so naturally there's going to be some ups and downs, but again, nothing particularly difficult. No long extended climbs or anything like that. So you'll come out of transition, cross back over the river. Effectively, what we're doing here is almost tracing the morning route to the swim start. So you come out of transition over the really cool bridge. Around mile one, hang a right, and it actually becomes kind of a figure eight type course along the river down there by the swim start. So you'll recognize where you were a little bit earlier in the day. Come down, up and around, back over the river, back up, and at the end of your first loop, you will cycle again at this intersection point. So one loop, you'll head back, repeat all of that, and then once you have done all of that twice, you'll head on from there back over to the finish line, which is in that same vicinity as the start. All right, couple tips for the run course. This is something that I really like about multiple loop courses. It gives you some great opportunities to build throughout and negative split. So, what we really want to avoid is going out too hard too early. What we see is this happens a lot of times. Again, a very common mistake among even seasoned triathletes is they go out too hard. They feel really good off the bike. They think it's going to be a massive PR day, and maybe it will be, but oftentimes, what happens is get out going too hard, too quick, and it becomes an unsustainable pace. And then at the end of the day, you end up slowing down, perhaps even coming to a point where you're having to walk, and you're going to be losing opportunity and potential so far as that goes. So, what I would say is even kind of break it into a half, an out and a back, so you can divide the whole course into four sections. So I would say first half of the lap, almost a forced, held back restraint. This should feel real easy. It should feel like your body is really wanting to go. So this is probably anywhere from 10, 15, even 30 seconds slower than your ideal goal pace. Then on the back half of that lap, begin to build and increase your speed. Then, as you hit that turnaround point, you begin to hit your second lap, and that's really where the race is really kind of on. So you're halfway through. Begin to build or continue to build throughout that second lap. Pick up the pace, and now hopefully, if you've done everything right, paced well, hydrated, stayed up on your nutrition, your electrolytes. Now you're really feeling good, really starting to push, and you can run that second lap even faster than the first, and let it all hang out. And especially on the second half of that second lap, as you're headed to the finish, you're going to be picking off competition left and right. All those that went out too fast, went out too hard, you're going to be picking those guys off and increasing not only your standing, but also setting yourself up for a very fast bike split. Stay hydrated and stay cool. Again, I've mentioned this several times. I'm going to say it once more. Even throughout the the run course, it is still critical. Also important to stay cool. So this is not something we've discussed as much. It's not going to be, I would say, an issue at all on the swim. With the mid 60s water temperature, and then even with the forecasted warmer afternoon temperatures, the overnight lows are still quite cool. So I would expect the bike course to be quite cool, very comfortable. Less of an issue, probably not going to be a major variable to control your core temperature on the bike like it is in many other races, especially those that take place in the summer. Usually that is something that you have to consider and manage in addition to your nutrition, hydration, and electrolytes. But once you have been spending a couple hours now exerting yourself at a high level, that temperature is going to begin to rise. It is important that you maintain a functional core temperature And so hydration is a component to this. So making sure, again, you've got good levels of hydration, but also taking in cool fluids to help control that core temperature from the inside, and then doing things like pouring cold water over your body, over your head, stashing ice under your cap, down your kit, things like that will help mitigate the temperature and control your core temperature from the outside. So manage that temperature, and again, that is going to be relative to your exertion level and that outdoor temperature. So it's going to be a little bit different for everyone. Take something from every aid station. So you paid a whole lot of money to be in this race, and so get your money's worth. And there's a lot more to it than that. Chances are you can benefit from taking something from each one of these aid stations. It may be part of your nutrition protocol. For me, I take a gel at every other aid station when I'm racing a 70.3. I will also take some water to work with the osmolality of that gel, and then on the off aid stations, it tends to vary, but generally it's at least taking in some water, being again cognizant of hydration. Maybe it's as I mentioned before, it's ice to pour down my kit, cold water, something like that. Whatever it is that you need, make sure that you're taking advantage of having those aid stations out there. And chances are you can benefit from taking something from each aid station, and then plan your aid stations as well. So it can be a mistake to just run right up to an aid station and not really know what it is that you need from that aid station, kind of deciding on the fly. Um, think about what it is. If you're maybe a quarter mile, 100 yards out, something like that, begin to think, what am I due for? Am I due for a gel? Do I need some salt? Do I want to take some pretzels? Am I behind on my hydration? I need to take some extra water. Do I need some sugar so I can take the Gatorade or something like that? Am I in need of Red Bull or something like that? Always take advantage of that opportunity to plan out what it is that you are going to be taking from those aid stations. And on to the finish. This is the best part of a really great day. So just a couple tips here. These are mostly just for fun. Clean up. So zip up the kit, ditch the sponges, wipe your nose, and be nice and pretty for those pictures that'll show up on Instagram and Facebook. Perhaps even your Christmas card over the next couple months. Take it all in. There's been a lot invested in this, a lot of training, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of investment. So be sure to take it in. What I see a lot of times is athletes will just dead sprint that last 50 yards and really miss taking advantage of the opportunity. Just get across the line in whatever fashion that suits you, but make sure to enjoy it and take it in. Plan your finish. So what are you going to do? Have some fun with it. Find some space. So if you are in a bit of a crowd, maybe just hang back for a few seconds and let them go ahead, have their time, and enjoy that for yourself. Or if you've made a friend out there, you guys have ran the last 7-8 miles together, maybe take an opportunity to share the finish line with them. And then for me, my favorite part is all the high fives. Your support crew, the kids. I'm one to if it's worth it to me to give back 3 to 5 seconds off my finishing time to give out all the high fives as I am taking in that finishing line. But do whatever it is that is going to enable you to enjoy that finish line as much as possible. All right, we are down to just a couple of minutes. I know you guys are tapering triathletes, and I don't want to keep you longer than promised. So, some of you guys have been submitting your questions throughout. If you have questions now, you can submit those via that GoToWebinar widget, and I will get to as many of those as I can. Any of the ones that are submitted that I am not able to get to here in the next few minutes, I will follow up with you via email in the next couple of days. Or also want to give you guys my email address. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions, either not submitted tonight or if something comes up in the next couple of days, a question you think of. My email is john@tribetriathlon.net. Feel free to shoot me a message and I will get back with you. So, a couple of these questions here, and again, go ahead and submit those, and I will get to as many as I can. Um, do we wear shoes to the swim start? So this is going to be personal preference. Keep in mind it's about a mile and a half that you'd be walking barefoot or in flip flops or old shoes, something like that. They do have morning clothes bags that you will drop down there at the swim start, so you will have the opportunity to at least a portion of that mile and a half walk. Um, Wear some footwear, as well as some warm clothes. So again, temperatures conceivably could be anywhere from the 60s even into the upper 50s, kind of depending on how things shake out. So you may want to wear a sweatshirt or something like that, warm down there to the swim start. That morning clothes bag is going to be an opportunity, again, to wear the clothes, wear the shoes down there. Drop it off, and then they will return those back to you after the race. Kind of along with this, they do not allow spectators down there to the swim start simply because it is so congested. There's really not anywhere to watch the beginning of the swim start. And so there's really nothing to see. So spectators not down there. So it's not like your support crew can go down there and carry your shoes and clothes back. So if you want to wear the warm clothes, wear shoes, something like that, take advantage of that morning clothes bag that is provided. What if I get a flat? So I always recommend being self-sufficient out there on the bike course. Carry a basic tool set with you. Know how to use it. Carry a flat kit with you, a tube, tire lever, CO2, all that. Where if you get a flat, you can change it. Know how to do that. If you don't, ask your local bike shop, your local tri club, your training partners will very likely be more than willing to show you how to do that. Once you know how, it's pretty easy, and it'll become very valuable if worst case you do get a flat during the race. Now there will be neutral support out there. But it may take them a while to get to you. So that's you could get real lucky and they could be right there when you flat, or they could be on the opposite end of the course taking care of several other athletes, and you may be waiting on the side of the road for a while. So if you get a flat, there will be neutral support, there will be help out there, but we don't know how long it's going to take to get there. So be self-sufficient and do what you can to change the flat yourself. On the self-seated start, what time do we use? So, yeah, as mentioned, you're probably going to be 20 minutes, give or take, faster than your swim time. Line up according to your normal swim time. So, not necessarily we'll call this your handicapped swim. What would you swim in a normal 70.3 if you didn't have this amazing current sweeping you along? So, if you swam, say, 40 minutes in your last 70.3, line up at the 40-minute mark. You'll probably swim something somewhere in the 20s. Don't line up there. So get queued up where you would normally swim without the benefit of the current. So that's kind of the common thread, understanding base uh, metric that will go on is what is your normal expected 70.3 swim, not your we'll call it current adjusted, current normalized swim time. Okay. Any changes in swim stroke due to the current? Not really. So oftentimes water conditions and things like that can affect the way we want to work our stroke in the swim. This is going to be a downstream swim the entire way, which is has the least amount of impact on how you want to swim. So really, there's really not a big penalty here like there are if it were a wavy or choppy swim. If you were swimming cross current, we would need to make some adjustments. If you were swimming upstream, there are some adjustments we would need to make. But since this is all downriver, downstream, not really any adjustments here to be cognizant of. The benefit here is you can have a really nice, long gliding, powerful stroke and you're just going to go all the more faster. Sometimes if again if we were swimming cross current or upstream, that real long bit of a slower cadence, that's going to cost you, and you would need to make some adjustments. But again, swimming downstream, downhill, as it were, not a whole lot needed so far as that goes. All right, so we are right up against the 45 minutes time limit. So I'm going to get in one more question here. Any secret tips? So this one, I've done my best to give you everything I've got, but I'll leave you with one that I think is real important, and that is to race with gratitude. I always recommend to all the athletes that I work with, in the last day or two as you head into the race, take just a few minutes to express your gratitude to your support crew and those that have empowered and enabled you to get to this start line and do what it is that we get to do as triathletes. So again, your family, your spouse, your kids, your coach, coworkers, all those folks, anyone who has played a part in your journey to arriving here at this start line. Tell them that you appreciate them, express your gratitude, because you will be thinking about them throughout the day, especially if and when things get difficult. Your mind is going to go to them, and you're really going to be able to draw energy and positivity when you think back to the fact that you have expressed your gratitude to them. They know how you feel. They know you've recognized their input and their sacrifice and their help. So that can really go a long way. And then on site, same thing. Express your gratitude to the volunteers, to those in the local community, the first responders, police officers out there at the intersections, the volunteers at the aid station. Again, we couldn't do this without them. So make sure to express your gratitude and just let them know that we appreciate them being out there. So, all right, we are just a minute over. I do apologize for that. Again, I want to say thank you for everyone who has attended here this evening. I hope this has been beneficial for you. I hope you've gotten gleaned a bit of information or two. If any questions come up in the next couple days, again, feel free to reach out to me via email. And I want to wish you all the best. Enjoy yourself, have fun, and have an amazing experience at 70.3 Oregon. Good night, guys.